Do you struggle with eating healthy consistently because you don't have enough time? I certainly had, but I found 5 strategies that work for me and makes it so much easier to stick to a healthy eating every day. The first tip is to do grocery online. So I started doing this 7 months ago and I absolutely love it because I am this type of person who doesn't enjoy doing groceries. I see it as a chore and I just want to get it done. So doing grocery online for me is just a game changer. I can just sit from my computer and order everything I need and it will get delivered to my door. So I save so much time and energy on doing grocery. And I think in general, whenever we see something energy draining, if we can outsource that somehow, do it. Why waste time and energy on it when you literally just can pay just tiny little bit more to avoid doing that, so I can spend the time on stuff that I actually enjoy and makes me happy. And this is the case. Besides saving energy and time by doing online grocery, there is also the benefit of avoiding to get tempted to do unhealthy choices. When we, for example, do grocery physically, well, we see snacks and sweets all over the place as soon as we enter the shop till the end of the shop. So it's like everywhere. So it's very easy to get tempted to buy unhealthy food. And instead, by doing grocery online, well, I just search for the stuff that I need. And in that way, I don't get tempted as easy as I would do if I went to the shop. Also, another thing that adds up to the temptation that we get doing grocery is that we often go there when we are hungry. So that just makes it worse. The third benefit of doing grocery online is that it's easier to do meal planning. Of course, depending on which country you're living in, there are different websites for doing grocery online. But I think in general, they have same features. They have at least the feature of like, for example, doing lists or at least doing favorites, I can imagine. I live in Denmark and I use the website called Nemlig, and I'm not sponsored. I just want to mention what features they have and why I found it so useful. And I hope that they also have it in the country where you live in. But I can, for example, make lists and I can do favorites and I can find recipes and I can order the same thing as I ordered before. So for example, the list I use for breakfast because I often eat the same thing. So I made a list with all the ingredients that I need for breakfast. Every time I have to order, I just press on the breakfast list and order everything that I put on the list. So I don't have to each time search for the specific thing that I need for breakfast. I already decided and I already prepared that for my upcoming deliveries. Also, you can search for different recipes. There are plenty of recipes, and that way you can just go to the recipe and then all the ingredients that you need for that recipe is there. So it's just so nice. It's so easy and you can choose for how many people you want it for. And so yeah, it just becomes so much easy to also see what you ordered previously and to see if it was too much or too little when you especially have to do meal planning. So I really like these features. It makes it so much more simple. But even if those features was not there, I still think it's very convenient. Even though I do my groceries primarily online, I still go to the shop sometimes when I, for example, forgot something or I just needed something extra. But I rarely do groceries for many days in a row. Only those days where I forgot to make the order on time, so I cannot get it delivered on the time that I want. So I need to buy a lot of stuff, so rather I would just go and do the big grocery at once. But I really don't enjoy it. I don't like it, and it happens luckily rarely. Instead, I actually most of the time when I forgot to do it, well, then I buy just few things that can last for the day after, and then I can make the order on time and get it delivered on the time that I want. So when we have to do grocery physically, I have a few tips for that. The first one is to make a list before doing grocery and stick to it. Well, at least try, because we all know it's hard. But if we have a list, it makes it more likely that we make healthier choices when we are at the shop. The second tip is to not go to the shop on an empty stomach. And I know it can also be hard when you're obviously going to the shop because you don't have enough food or you don't have food at all at home. So it often ends up being on an empty stomach. But if you can avoid it somehow, if you just even have a snack at home like a banana or apple, eat that before going to do grocery, because the likelihood for you picking up a sweet or something will be less when you already had something in your stomach. So let's go to the second tip of how to make healthy eating easier, and that's meal prepping. There are so many benefits of meal prepping. You save time, energy, and you make healthier choices, at least for me. So instead of me coming up with the idea, for example, for what to eat for dinner, and then figuring out, do I have the ingredients for that dinner, and then I have to cook that dinner. And instead, if I had done the meal prepping, I could just take out the box with the dinner and just warm it up and eat it. So easy, so simple. It's just very convenient. And also, the likelihood for me eating healthier is so much higher because I already prepared healthy food. And especially on those days where I literally don't have enough time to cook, I order food online. And we all know that it's not easy to find healthy food when we have to order. So I am more likely to eat something unhealthy compared to if I just had the food prepared and it's just there, easy for me. But there are also downsides of meal prepping. I personally found it too automated somehow when I did it for too long time in a row. So I like to have a break in between, but majority of the time I want to stick to meal prepping because it really simplifies everything and is very nice. I really enjoy it, but I just need the break sometimes because I feel it just becomes too robotic somehow to be so strict. And yeah, I think also that partly has to do with that I can only do meal prepping for 3 days in a row because we have a very small fridge, and so there's not enough space to do meal prepping for a whole week at a time, but only for 3 days. So I have to set time for meal prepping 2 times a week instead of once a week. So if I had the option, and if you have the option, I highly recommend it to do it once a week, so you only have to think about it once a week and then it's done. The third tip is to always have healthy snacks at home or when you're on the go. So I always make sure that I have some fruits or nuts at home, so whenever I feel I want something quickly, I always have something that I can eat that is healthy. But I would say even those are super boring when you're really craving for something nice. So I really want to learn new recipes for healthy snacks, and when I do, I will share it with you guys. And if you have some ideas for good recipes, please share it with us down in the comments below. But yeah, I still think it's very useful to bring some fruits with me and nuts because that really kills the top of the cravings. So yeah. The fourth tip is to make unhealthy food inaccessible. I recommend to keep the sweets in a place that is hard to reach. Put it far away, hide it. Don't make it so easy that every time you crave for sweets that it's easy to get, because then obviously if it's easy to reach, well, then we eat it. That's how it works. So personally, what we do here at home, well, first of all, we don't store sweets at home. Like, we don't buy sweets for more than 1 day. So whenever we want to eat sweets, we buy the amount that we need to eat at that point, like maximum for the day. So we don't have for other days because don't have the discipline to keep our fingers away of those sweets. That's just how it is. But yeah, but whenever we, for example, get sweets as a gift, what we do is then we actually put it in the basement. In that way, it becomes super hard to access those unhealthy food. So yeah, maybe you have more discipline than us, but I still recommend that putting it in a place that is not that easy to get. The last tip for making healthy eating easier is to not overthink and cook simple. I personally freestyle my cooking, so I mainly think about which type of meat I want to eat, which vegetables, and also I usually eat quinoa or like a dark rice on the side. I usually make like a one big pot dish, it's called, I think. So I don't really overthink, I really freestyle. But whenever I want to try new recipes, I try to look for those that doesn't have like 20 ingredients. And of course, this is during the weekdays where I don't have enough time. But like during weekends, fine, there is more time. I don't think much about how many ingredients it has. I just go for whatever I find and feel for cooking. But now I'm talking about the weekdays where we don't have much time. We want to keep it as simple as possible. There are so many recipes, and fewer ingredients doesn't mean the food tastes worse. So keep that in mind. When you can, because you can find easier recipes, try to stick to those. So try to make it simple for yourself. Don't overthink it, really. If you can, freestyle it. If not, find recipes that is easy to cook. So that was everything I had for now about how to make healthy eating easier. And if you have some ideas and some tips, please share it with us in the comments down below. I'm very thankful for that you watched so far. I really hope that you learned something or got inspired somehow. And if you want to learn more about these kind of health related topics and how to make health in general more practical, then subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, please give it a like. Until next time, take really good care of yourself.